Hey, how's it going, everyone? We're going to give folks a couple of minutes to hop on. We have some fun posts to read tonight. And I don't know why I'm enunciating my S's so much right now, but I am.
Hey,
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Perfect.
How is it going, Nancy?
Good, good. Also, I'm repping your merch. You can't
Oh,
see,
yay.
but
Support bodily autonomy because we love a pun at T Fund.
y'all are good. Y'all are great.
We love them. All right, let me see. I think Anna. Yay, there you are.
Hey y'all.
Hi. I am so excited. How's it going, Anna?
It's going. I'm also wearing very old merch. This is God, what is this? NNAF
Oh,
Summit
yeah.
2016, maybe? No idea.
Wow.
Throwback.
Throwback.
Recording.
Yeah, definitely. Throwback. Awesome. So I guess before we get started, everyone, hi. We're so excited to have another monthly Abobo Chat. My name is Denise Rodriguez. I am the communications director at Texas Equal Access Fund, which is the account that's putting this live on. And I'm the communications director. My pronouns are she, her, ella. And let me see. Oh, my sun sign is Gemini, my rising sign is Leo, and my moon is Libra. Um, and then I'm also drinking an Aperol Spritz in honor of the White
Ooh,
Lotus season finale this weekend. Because
Hmm.
that's the drink that they drink all the time.
love it.
So
Interesting.
I know, we have some amazing guests tonight. I'm really excited. Y'all, this is like an all Latina like live tonight.
Oh my God, that's true.
So
How
that's
cute.
cool. I love it. It's cute. I'm excited for us to talk about all of these different things. But before we get started, if y'all could just introduce yourself, name, pronoun, if you're here repping an org or anything, like let us know what's going on with you.
Anna, do you want to go first?
Sure, I can go first. I'm Anna. I use she, her pronouns. I'm the campaigns director with both T Fund and Lilith Fund. I'm like very pregnant and also very full. So if I can't breathe, that's what's going on. How about you, Nancy?
My name is Nancy Cardenas Peña. I'm with the National Latina Institute for Reproductive Justice. I'm the Texas Director for Policy and Advocacy, she, her, ella. And I'm based in the Rio Grande Valley, right here on the border.
Shout
Yay!
out.
Woo! I love it. Well, we have I scoured Reddit this past month to find some interesting posts that relate somehow to abortion or reproductive justice, and so I think we have some pretty interesting things. Before we get into the meat of tonight's live, are there any calls to action that you want people to know about? Anything you want to shout out before we get started?
Mm,
I don't know.
yeah, I don't know either.
Maybe
It's
just
the
like
end of the year.
rest
Yes,
and have a good time
yes.
because there's a legislative session coming up in about a month here in Texas, and that's gonna, probably ruin our lives. So let's have fun and rest and enjoy our lives before Texas Ledge ruins it.
That's the best call to action.
Yeah, it's a really
Everyone
good call
just
to action.
chill because session is coming. I agree.
Yes.
I
Yeah,
agree.
The end of the year, everybody, self-care is important. That's how we have a sustainable movement.
true.
So I think I always try to make sure that I explain to people because not everybody knows what Reddit is. But Reddit is like a website. It's kind of like where you can create these different types of forums about different topics, and people write posts in the different forums, asking for advice. And so I went through Reddit. I searched for ones that were related to abortion or reproductive justice. Um, and so just so y'all know that like these are things that we find from Reddit. These aren't like real people. Well, they are real people, but like it's not like we don't know them. And also some of these folks like they are using the language that they know and they are trying the best that they can. So we will be giving them a little bit of grace. And I will make sure that if I need to edit out stuff, I will edit out. But just, I guess, just so everybody knows in case stuff comes out worded weirdly. But with that being said, let's get started with our first post, and it comes from Am I the Asshole? Am I the asshole for using a joke about sexuality to imply my coworker's boundary with her boyfriend is stupid? For context, I, 29 female, am bisexual and have been working at my company for about a year and a half. We just started returning to the office about 3 months ago, and it's the first time I have really started to get to know my coworkers on a deeper level than just Zoom chats. It's about a 50-person company. I've never come out at work since there hasn't really been an opportunity to. My immediate boss knows I have a girlfriend, but that's about it. Yesterday, I was eating lunch in the kitchen and chatting with one of my female coworkers, 30 female, that I've started to develop a friendship with. She mentioned a girls' trip she had planned over the holidays, and I told her in turn about a trip that I had planned with my best guy friend, Matt. And I said, my partner couldn't get off work to join. I should also mention that I am femme and straight passing. She immediately raised her eyebrows and said, wow, that's wild that your boyfriend would let you go on a trip alone with another guy. Before I said anything about my relationship, I asked her why that was wild. She immediately went into a little mini rant about how her and her boyfriend have a boundary about not having friendships of the opposite sex, and it means that they have a deeper level of trust. It honestly came across as a little condescending. While I do believe that everyone knows the right thing for their relationship, I've always found this particular boundary to feel a little absurd to me. And so I said exactly why I feel that way. I wouldn't understand. That would be tough for my girlfriend and I since we are bisexual. I guess we couldn't be able to have any friends at all. I said it in a teasing tone and laughed. My coworker turned white as a sheet. Clearly, I had embarrassed her. I tried to change the subject and move on, but she started to look more angry than embarrassed. She basically said it was uncalled for to make fun of and insult her relationship, and that I set her up for failure by not telling her, I'm sorry, y'all, this is like really funny, for failure by not telling her I was bisexual until that moment. Then she had the nerve to say, to be honest, I don't really think the workplace is somewhere to be discussing sexuality at all. I didn't say anything after that and walked away, embarrassed too. I feel conflicted about this whole exchange. On the one hand, I don't think I'm the asshole at all, and that it's her fault for assuming my sexuality in the first place. And that she was telling me about her relationship with me, which means it was perfectly acceptable for me to talk about mine. On the other hand, my girlfriend said I was out of line to make that joke, and I clearly embarrassed her, and she was just being defensive, as anyone would if they felt the relationship was attacked. Well, I feel like my joke was really just the truth and not an attack. I can't help feeling like maybe I'm the asshole. Do I owe her an apology?
Is there like
No.
a buzzer we can press? Not the asshole.
Seriously, what? This is ridiculous.
Yes. Why is this ridiculous, Anna?
Like, okay, how is she gonna go on a rant about her relationship? Like, one, giving like way unsolicited advice that's like, that's inappropriate, first of all. And then like turn around and be like, it's inappropriate for you to talk about your sexuality. Like, you just talked about yours. You can talk about your boyfriend, like that's okay. But like for some reason, somebody can't bring up that they are bisexual and have, you know, a girlfriend. Well, like the way that person like flipped it around of like they seriously messed up, and instead of being like, oh, here's a learning opportunity for me, is like, one, I can't be, you know, making these assumptions and like giving people rants about my unsolicited opinions. And like, oh, maybe I should not do that in the future. Instead, like they turned it into like you're, I don't know, you're the bad guy. Like, what? I'm just confused. I'm confused. How did this happen? Definitely not the asshole. The coworker is totally the asshole.
I agree. I mean, there like, there's always conversations that you have with your partner about boundaries and like what sort of relationship you want to have. And you should trust each other to have these like very strong boundaries based on what works best for you all. And it's not like a general or uniform sort of boundary you have to place on other relationships. So from that point on, it was extremely judgmental for this person to just be like, oh, like that's surprising, that your partner or your whatever like lets you have these like sort of friendships and relationships. And to be quite honest, like I completely see where they're coming from, because it does sound a little ridiculous to like forbid your partner from having friendships with like the opposite sex, or whatever the situation is. Like it sounds like, instead of like complete trust, it sounds kind of like the opposite, that there is this like lack of trust between both of them. I'm not on Reddit often. Is this common? Like the not the asshole, I'm the asshole? This is so interesting. I found the cult thread
Really?
like a while back.
Really?
I'm hooked.
You haven't really read that much Am I the Asshole? Yeah, basically there's like different posts and people are like, "Oh no, I don't know if like did I fuck up?" Sometimes people are not the asshole, sometimes they are. And sometimes everybody's like there's like disagreement. Sometimes everybody's like everybody sucks here.
Yeah. I mean, like I can also like relate to making jokes whenever there's like awkwardness. And so I completely understand that this person made a joke to sort of like, como se dice, like diffuse the tension in the room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there was like a lot of judgment already placed on that conversation with
Hmm.
like, and this like, just like this inherent normalcy around talking about heteronormative relationships that was
Yeah.
sort of just like implied for this person, which is very strange. Yeah, so it's just interesting. I
I
saw a comment saying that they were like, it's addicting, and like I said, I found the cult subthread on
Yeah.
Reddit, which is so interesting.
Oh my gosh. Cults are wild. Like, honestly,
They're
cult
very
content
wild.
is so interesting.
You know, tangent real quick. There is a documentary that just came out on HBO about this cult called La Luz del Mundo. Have y'all heard of that?
Oh my gosh, I think I just
No.
saw like a headline of it, but I don't really know much about it.
It is wild. I will say if you're gonna try to check out the documentary, like it does have like major trigger warnings, but the way that this shit has been like had been going on since the 1920s.
Mm.
And it was like a whole like ring. It was like a worldwide thing, and it was all like this like fundamentalist evangelical church.
Are they Pentecostal?
Yeah, they're apostolic, so they wear the veils.
Oh.
I don't know if y'all know. I grew up in an evangelical household, so I know all the different denominations. But yeah, they're similar to Pentecostal, but they're called apostolic because they put they wear a veil, or the
Mm.
women wear a veil when they go to church.
Interesting. Okay, I need to check that out, because I grew up Pentecostal, so I'm like a little familiar with all of them. To be quite honest, I ran as quickly as I could when I turned 18. But
Same.
it's so interesting learning about this. There's also a good one on HBO called The Vow that just finished its second season. So highly recommend. Also trigger warnings. But it's like very recent also. Like this just happened like a couple of years ago with this cult in Albany, New York.
Wow.
Wow. Was it like was it
Anyway,
Mormon or was it like some kind of it
it
was
was like
just
the self-help people.
oh
Oh,
yeah.
see, that's interesting too, because sometimes you think about cults only being like religious affiliated, but cults, there can be cults for everything. I don't know all the details, so like look it up later. But there was a situation in Colorado actually where there was this organization that claimed to be like an organization fighting for like Black liberation. and they were trying to create a community where Black folks could live like in freedom. And their goal was to buy land, but which is like sounds awesome. But their like leader was literally a wild like cult leader, and like it ended up with somebody dying. This is like also
Oh
super
no.
recent, like within the past few months. But yeah, look up the Black Hammer organization, and there's like
Mm.
stuff that you can read about like how all of that shit went down. But
You
it's
know, I think I've
crazy.
heard of that. Not
I'm
of
gonna
that
write all of this
particular
down.
thing, but I remember seeing the series of TikToks by this woman who had bought a house. But I think it was a member, I think they might have been affiliated, and I could be like getting this wrong, but like that sounds familiar. Like they were kind of like squatting in her house, and they were trying to claim they were trying to say they had some kind of ancestral claim to her house.
Oh.
So they just squat, and so she had to like it was like a whole negotiation. They had to get SWAT to take them out. Like it was like a whole situation.
OMG. Wow.
Yeah, it was like 20 TikToks because it was like a whole series. But yeah, if you remember that TikTok story, let us know in the comments because that was wild. So yes, thank y'all for indulging my little tangent about cults. You know, other people are like into true crime and that kind of stuff, but my stuff is like cult stuff.
Mm,
And I think a lot of it is because like I grew up evangelical.
fair.
Yeah, fair.
I like cults and I like demonic movies.
Just goes hand in hand, you know?
It does. It goes hand in hand. That's what happens when you grow up evangelical.
Oh my God,
gosh.
is that why?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, I
dude,
feel like
that's
for me,
resonates with you too, right, Nancy? Like
Yes,
you out
it
here.
does. I love
You out
those horror
here.
movies.
yeah.
Oh my God,
I mean, like
I'm
I
learning so
grew
much
up.
about myself.
Yeah, I grew up thinking that, or like my mom telling me that, like I couldn't like play with certain toys or watch certain cartoons because they were considered to be demonic and stuff. And so, like now, that's why I have a fascination with that. And also,
Mm.
like, yeah, yeah. So there you go. If anybody else resonates with that kind of content, please let us know so we can all share in our religious trauma together.
Yes,
Bonding.
Bonding.
trauma bonding.
Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. There was an update I forgot to talk. The person had an update, the bisexual person.
Oh,
Let
okay.
me see. Okay, update. I got an email from HR at the end of the workday today requesting a meeting first thing tomorrow morning. So I guess some of you were right, and she went to HR. I'll update again in the morning after the meeting. Fuck. Let me see if he posted again.
Dang, that sucks. So the coworker who like was totally out of line beat the originally poster and like went to HR, like that's wild. That's the thing that sometimes is like really frustrating. It's like the people who are most wrong are like the loudest, and they sound like very manipulative. So that sucks that now this poor person has to keep working with this individual. I hope they didn't get in trouble. Because
I hope
honestly, like, I feel
not.
like their statement, like, kind of pushing back a little bit on that coworker, I feel like it was totally, like, nice. Like, that is kind for, like, what they could have said. They were just like, oh, how funny. Like, that wouldn't work for me because of XYZ. Like, literally, that was it. They didn't say, like, oh, you're an idiot. How dare you do that? You sound really like self-conscious in your relationship. Like, no, nothing. They did not say anything about that person's relationship. They
Mm-mm.
were just like, wouldn't work for me. Like, how are they now getting in trouble? I hope they get vindicated by HR.
I hope so.
I
I
hope
hope,
so.
and I hope HR aren't like on the same level of religious because you know how it is. Um, they did not post. They did not give us an update after that, so that's all we know. Um,
Good luck to that poster.
good luck to that person. Hopefully, maybe they can find another job.
True.
I see a comment about liking scary paranormal movies. but they get scared. That's how I feel about playing survival horror video games, okay? Another tangent, okay? We're never gonna get through all of the questions. We're just gonna start talking about other things. Invite me to more lives, y'all. But yeah, that's how I feel about
What
survival
what
horror video
games are
games.
you playing? Are you talking about Resident Evil or Silent Hill?
So I finished the Outlast games, which are very, very, very creepy. There's sort of this like theme in some video games, and I don't know what started it. I feel like the first video game that I played around this theme was Clock Tower, for the PS1. But it's basically like you're helpless, and your only options are to run and hide from whoever is chasing you. Um, so in Outlast, you just have like a little camcorder, and that's how you're sort of like navigating your way through the game. And there's like different Outlast games, but those were really exciting. And then there's like, I'm trying to play through this game called Visage. I don't know how to pronounce it, but also like sort of similar themes to some Silent Hill games. There was like a Silent Hill demo game that came out a while back that was amazing and terrifying, where you basically just circulate this hallway and stuff
Oh,
just
PT?
happens every time.
Oh
Yes, yes,
no.
Yeah.
exactly.
I still have
Yeah,
that one. I still have it like saved on my PS4.
it's amazing. I loved
How
it,
do
and I'm
y'all
trying to
sleep
play through it.
after that? That sounds
No,
terrifying.
I have insomnia, so the answer is I just don't.
You're like, I wasn't gonna sleep anyway. Now I have a reason.
Might as well not sleep and enjoy myself, you know.
Fair. You just
I
play more.
yeah, you
Just
could
play.
just do that. I think like the scariest I've played is like Last of Us, which is about zombies. But it is like really scary though.
That's a respectable choice.
Yeah. Especially the second one. Oof,
Ooh,
those
yeah,
zombies.
so good. I hope you're gonna see it on HBO when it comes out January 15th.
I'm excited
Oh
about it.
wow.
Yes.
I didn't know they were gonna make a whole show. It's a show or a movie?
They're gonna
Yeah,
make a
it's a
series.
It's a
mm-hmm.
series. Cool.
And
Yeah.
they're gonna make one of Fallout too. Of Fallout, so
That's amazing.
Wow.
I love Fallout.
me too. I love Fallout. Oh my God, real quick. I made an abortion clinic in Fallout.
Oh,
Because
I
you know how you
remember
can make
that.
What?
I did.
That's
Um yeah, I had mods. So I modded I got some like cute like
oh,
mods and I made like this really cute abortion clinic in what is it? What's the DLC vault? I forgot what it is, but it's like some vault that you get Vault
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
79 or something like that. Anyways, yeah.
Something like that.
So something like that, but I also make abortion clinics and video games too. So
I love it. We love a consistent person. Yep.
yeah, there you go.
Consistency.
Consistency. All right. Next post. In a heated argument, I told my mom that I aborted and now she won't speak to me. Context. I, 25 female, was in a relationship with my ex, 25 male. And when I got pregnant, he didn't want the baby, and I was at college. I didn't tell mom, who's in her 50s, because she has two kids, my brothers, with learning disability, 11 and 13, to take care of. Our father is out of the picture, and I just couldn't do this to her. I couldn't make her more stressed, so I went to the hospital, and that was it. It happened 3 years ago. Yesterday, my mom was at my place, and out of a small argument, we started yelling at each other. She said hurtful things. I said hurtful things, and I was so mad that it slipped out of my mouth that I aborted. She was silent. She said, "How could you? It was my grandchild. You are so selfish." And she left. Today, she called me ranting how I killed a baby. She didn't want to see or hear me, and there is no excuse for what I've done. I am devastated. I want a relationship with my mom. I don't know what to do. I need some advice, please. TLDR, my mom won't speak to me after learning that I had an abortion 3 years ago. What advice would y'all give to this person?
That's rough.
It is.
That's very rough.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, it's like super sad. Mm.
I feel
I
like
will
I had
say,
a similar experience when I had to tell my mother about my abortion, and she did not take it well.
mhm,
But I mean, I just like, I mean, it was difficult, right? Because it didn't necessarily rupture the relationship that I have with my mom. It just became a little difficult for a period of time, and sometimes people just need space and time to process information because we know that abortion is not a bad thing. It's not something that's immoral. It's not something that, someone should be ashamed of. Like, we just have to cater our outreach towards what abortion means for different communities in different ways.
mhm.
And sometimes that means not being very so upfront with what it means to have abortion access. I'm sorry, my dogs are
It's
I don't know if
okay.
you all
My
can
dog was
hear
barking
that.
earlier. It's fine.
Yeah,
I heard some whining, but it's okay.
Mm.
those are the dogs.
Oh, cutie.
Yeah. I hear you,
It's
Nancy.
hard. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I
always hard to like have to deal with some kind of rupture, especially if they already had a very close relationship.
hmm
Um, and it can be really hard to just like not have that. I'm somebody who's currently estranged from my mom, and so like I don't really like I just cut her off. And so like for me, like I'm just like, hey, if that like ended up helping my mental health, but I had to go to therapy about it.
Mm.
Because that's like a really intense like relationship because of what society also places, like the importance that society places on that particular relationship. Um, but I do think that like time heals.
Yeah.
And I think also, I didn't really have a close relationship with my mom, but I think if she had a close relationship and they were like tight, I really feel like the mom would get over it, but I don't know. People are really weird about abortion. Like that could be like the line.
Yeah. That would be so drastic and wild though. Like honestly, ugh, it really kills me when parents are like the most harmful people to their children, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's because of abortion or because their child is trans or non-binary or gay. Like literally, like parents who don't show up for their kids is like the worst to me. So that's so devastating that that happened to this person because it sounds like, this person was like literally trying to like protect their parent when they were going through a hard time. Like,
Yeah.
when they were trying to figure out whether maybe they were trying to figure out whether they wanted an abortion or not. Like it would have maybe felt good to like be able to process that with their parent, and it sounds like they like put the mental health of their parent first and like denied themselves maybe that support that they would have appreciated, so they didn't add any stress to their parent. So it's like, wow, that freaking sucks. Like you were out here prioritizing the needs of your parent, and then they turn around and like do this to you, like when
Yeah.
you share something vulnerable. I mean, it sounds like it was like kind of the worst case scenario in terms of like it kind of coming out when they were in the middle of a fight. um but it just, that really sucks. Like if they did have a close relationship, it sounds like, man, I hope the parent like comes around and
Mm-hmm.
like maybe like this is the chance that this parent has to be like, oh, maybe this is something that I grew up hearing certain horrible narratives about abortion, but like I love my kids so much and I want to be there for them that, like, you know what, I trust that my kid like makes good decisions, or I love my child so much that I want to be there for them. And like maybe this is the opportunity for the parent to like grow up and like be there for their child and like change their stance on abortion. But if they don't, like, I'm totally with you, Denise, of like, I think unfortunately there's this like
Yeah.
pressure that exists in society of like a mother child relationship is like you have to prioritize it above all, like as the child, and like you have to keep a toxic parent in your life. But like that's not true. Like I've really enjoyed reading different articles or just like poems from people who write about a mother wound, because it's really illuminating like how harmful like mothers can be to their children, and like how hard it is to freaking undo that. So I hope the best for this poor person. I
Me
hope like they get
too.
access to therapy to talk through it, and like if their parent is going to be toxic, then like I hope, you know, they stay out of their lives, but and the
I
person
hope so too.
sees it as a good thing.
I hope so too, because sometimes that can be hard, but I think like I don't know, I just like wanted to bring it up because sometimes like you have to do that and it's okay to do that,
Yeah.
you know? Um, what else was I gonna say? But yeah, I'm also getting very like oldest daughter vibes from
Yeah.
her. Do y'all know what I mean?
Oh
Nancy,
yeah.
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I feel like because she was already talking about her brothers, and how the father's out of the picture, and that she was already prioritizing her mom. So like I feel like she's
Hmm.
probably helping to raise those kids, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I feel
Yeah.
like that's probably a lot that's going within like that particular. Oh yes, thank you for my monstera. That particular dynamic. That's my husband, y'all. Trying to help people look at my plants. Um, so yeah, I hope this person, and if you are somebody who's looking for support, there's this really awesome account on Instagram. It's mainly it's called Latinx estrangement, but a lot of like the support can be applied to a lot of different communities. So just look it up. The account is called Latinx estrangement. She's a therapist who specializes in, especially for Latinos, because that's like a very, yeah.
Wow.
So look that up. She's really good.
What an awesome resource. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it's a really good resource, because it's especially within the context of Latinos and Latinas and just our family dynamics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's read this one. Okay. Should I tell my ex that I'm pregnant if I'm going to have an abortion? I, 20 female, broke up with my 25 male boyfriend of a year, 3 weeks ago, because it had become toxic on both sides, and I had found out he was cheating. Despite this, we ended up on cordial terms, although a reconciliation is not in the future. However, I just found out I'm pregnant. We had always discussed that if I got pregnant, I would get an abortion, so I'm not worried about him trying to get me to keep it. I just don't know if telling him that he made a child is the right thing to do. My reasons for telling him is that it's half his, and I believe he has a right to know. Also, so that he'll know to be more careful in the future and not get someone else pregnant who might want to keep it. I was on the pill, so we didn't use condoms. My concern is that it might just cause him unneeded stress, and I'm trying to keep our conversations to the bare minimum so we can both move on. TLDR, would you want to know if you were in his shoes? What do y'all think?
Interesting.
I think she does not have to.
Yeah, I mean, same. That's my gut reaction of like, you actually don't owe that to him.
I agree. Like I don't think that I'm in the personal belief that you don't actually have to tell um your potential ex-partners in this situation, like if you're pregnant or not, because whatever you want to do, that decision is completely up to you. It also sounds like it would not be a good idea to re-invite this person back into your life. So it just seems kind of like not the best idea. I mean, in the post, it was already mentioned that this relationship was kind of toxic, so maybe it's just
Yeah.
best to keep it at that and move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think also she had mentioned that they had always discussed that if she had got pregnant, that she would get an abortion. So, and her mentioning that her concern was that, or that like her reason is so that he'll know to be more careful in the future. I think he already knows that he can get people pregnant.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
think he really cares.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, like honestly, I don't think that would change his behavior. And like in this scenario for her, it's like, okay, like she should think about what is worth it for her. Like, is your mental health like a priority? And, moving on, to a different relationship, is that the priority? If so, then don't tell him. Like, you don't owe that to him. It sounds like maybe it's like a personal value of hers that like it sounds like maybe she would prefer to tell partners or ex-partners if she was getting an abortion, which like everyone, that's their prerogative. I disagree with that. Like I'm definitely, in the camp with Nancy and you and Denise of like, you don't owe that to anybody. Even if you are currently partnered, I actually don't think you owe that information to your partner either, especially if that would put you in a situation of danger. Um, and like it sounds like it was toxic. Like, we don't know what kind of toxic it was, but like, yeah, definitely put your safety, put your mental health, put all of that first. And even like, the other thing to flag is like, okay, like let's say this person, the person who got her pregnant, like let's say they do change their behavior because of this and they're like, oh, actually let's use two forms of, contraception. You could still get pregnant.
yeah.
Like the
Mm-hmm.
condom can break, shit happens. People can still get pregnant even when you do like everything right. And so you still, should let the person who is pregnant decide what to do with that pregnancy.
I mean, yeah, like pregnancy is really hard.
Yes, it's
Everything
really
that I've
hard.
read.
As a currently pregnant person, it's really freaking hard and it's
Yeah.
very exhausting and it's very like expensive. Like literally just everything about pregnancy, even though like I'm in a situation where like I want to be pregnant and I have the ability to be pregnant like on the best terms, it's still hard as hell. Like no one should do this if they don't want to.
For sure. For sure. I think maybe if she needed him to help pay,
Yeah.
that's the only reason that I could see.
That's
Um,
why there are abortion funds.
True, 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 true.
but yeah, I think, yeah, you don't owe anybody anything. If you don't want to tell anybody that you're pregnant, you
But
don't have
also
to.
like everyone should have like an abortion emergency fund, like in case they get pregnant or in case they get somebody else pregnant. Like it should just be like part of the things that one saves for, if you have the ability. Obviously capitalism is a thing, racism is a thing that prevents, us having equal access to like financial stability. So that is all like, first and foremost. But for if somebody like has the ability to have an emergency fund, and has the ability to like save ahead of time, like hey, these listicles are always talking about like, oh, save for your Christmas gifts, make sure you're saving for your child's education, make sure you're saving for your next car. Like add abortion to the list of things you could save for. But then if you can't,
Actually,
then call
yeah.
an abortion fund though.
Call an
We're
abortion
here.
fund, abortionfunds.org. Um, what else was I gonna say? And actually, I think that might be some good, a good post is to be like, hey, here's how much an abortion costs if you're trying to save up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I love these abortion tips that we're coming up with.
You're
On
welcome.
to on to the next post. This one, oh, I feel bad because these are friends. How do I handle this? I have a longtime friend whom I've done a lot to support, including helping connect her to her current job and supporting her through a nasty breakup and an abortion. These life events happened several years ago. My issue is that she frequently ignores my texts, even if I ask her questions like, how was your weekend? What did you think of X? Or if I vent about things at work. She has been going on for, or this has been going on for years, and I just presume she's not interested in whatever I'm texting about. However, if I do the same thing to her and ignore a text, don't answer a question, she gives me the silent treatment for several days. It's not dynamic, and I don't know how to address it without sounding defensive. What advice would we give to this person?
It doesn't seem like a mutually beneficial like interaction between both of them. Um, I feel like I need more context for this because this is a tough one. I mean, there's like that side that of course you want a person that you can rely on to, answer your messages whenever you need help. But you also don't know what this person is going through. Like,
Yeah.
it sounded like there were a lot of really incredible events in their lives, so maybe they're still processing it. Trauma is a whole different kind of beast, and so people
Mm-hmm.
people heal, people process trauma, people process hardships in very different ways. So it's a difficult one.
Yes, that is actually one of like the best comments or the top comments here is that this person, Southern Maximum, said sometimes when someone's been through financial loss, child loss, messy breakup, they need time alone to recalibrate. Survival mode must have been exhausting for them. So it's also things people feel a lot of shame about. Give your friends some time to process, please. He could be a reminder of how helpless they felt, and if feelings are still not processed yet, they'd not want to be around you so much as you saw a really broken version of them. That is a thing, y'all. If you have a friend who went through something like what Nancy said and what this particular comment, I feel like that's an important thing to remember. The original poster did respond and said, however, that this had been going on well before any of those events.
That's really interesting. Honestly, like one thing that kind of sticks out to me about the person who originally posted is like I've really been there for this person and I'm not receiving the same kind of reciprocity. And like that sounds really hard, like when you're really trying to be there for a friend and you don't feel like they've got your back in the same way. Like I'm sure that feels really disappointing and like confusing maybe to them. Um, but especially with that additional comment of like, oh, it's always been like this, then it's a little bit like I'm confused. Like, why are you investing so much into this person when it's not a reciprocal relationship? And I also think it's really important to name of like when you give support to somebody else, like you shouldn't expect anything back from them. Like if you pay for your friend's abortion, that doesn't, require that they stay friends with you. Like they can decide that like, you know what, like for whatever reason, like I just don't think we should be friends anymore, and that's okay. You don't owe them anything because they helped you one time or a few times, like when
Mm-hmm.
you help your loved ones is with the expectation of like I don't expect anything back from you. So I kind of feel like this poster, like I feel like that's a hard situation to be in and that sucks for them, but at the same time like their friend doesn't owe them anything, and like maybe they need to, like they can't control how their friend shows up, but they can
Mm-hmm.
control themselves, right? So if like this is starting to be a harmful relationship for the original poster, they should maybe create some boundaries for themselves and be like, you know what, like I feel really taken advantage of, or like I feel like this is not a reciprocal relationship, so I'm going to create some distance and some space with this friend. Like maybe this is not a person that I can lean on when I'm going through a hard time. That sucks because like I want it to be somebody that they could lean on and it's not
Mm-hmm.
reciprocal, but at the same time like you can control your boundaries. Like you can't expect something out of the other person like that.
Yeah, I think those are great points. I mean, I think there's also like a fine line between friends when you're trauma dumping. Like, you have to be upfront with what sort of interactions or with what sort of help that you expect from your friend and just be honest about it. Like, also, did this person have a conversation with them about, like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, you've been ghosting me or giving me the silent treatment, or hey, this is kind
Yeah.
of what I want out of this conversation beforehand. I mean, of course, we would we love to have friends who are supportive and who are there to hear us out, for us to vent, and all of that. But we also have to be honest with expectations around that, and just be honest that people have very different lives, and sometimes they're also carrying their own burdens and hardships. I mean, the person who posted this said that they were like that before these events, but we also don't know if they've had other hardships. Maybe they just, I don't know. It's just like a complicated situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I would be interested in finding and learning what the original poster's attachment style is.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm
Um,
like, original poster, you need therapy.
yeah, I
You
know.
need
I'm
more
just like,
friends to lean
oh,
on, maybe, and support.
yeah, because I wonder if like maybe they just like grew up thinking that in order for them to be worthy of like friendship that they had to do stuff.
Mm,
And I
Mm,
wonder, I wonder if like that's like something that's like a thing.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, well, OP, I hope you learn to mourn this friendship and move on.
Hmm.
And it's okay to feel hurt if you're like, I guess like having a friend breakup. Like
Oh,
I feel like those
totally.
are just as painful as like romantic breakups.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
yeah. Sometimes even worse, I think, because if it's a romantic situation where it's like, oh, we were only together for a little bit, but
Hmm.
if it's a friend that you were with for like a long part of your life and you went through some shit with, like no longer having that person in your life, damn, that's hard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we have time for one last one. Let's. I'm just gonna dive right in. Am I the asshole for helping and covering it up for my sister? Hi, this is my first post here, so I'm really sorry if anything isn't right or something. So basically, this started months ago when I'm assuming that's the sister, was visiting me because I had moved away from home. My cousin took my sister to the emergency room because my sister, 17, was feeling a bit off. That is where she found out she was pregnant. My cousin was in the waiting room and had no idea what was going on because my sister went into the room alone. My sister called me, 20 female, crying about it, and she wanted an abortion. Where we are, you can't get one, so I went on TikTok and found an amazing agency that managed to ship abortion pills to my sister. I imagine that's probably 8 Axis or Plan C or one of those groups. It went fine, thankfully, and my sister and I agreed not to tell our parents about it because she was scared for them to react. It turns out that somehow my parents found out about the abortion pills. So my mom asked me about them, and when I told her the story and how I cried when my sister told me she was pregnant, and that is when she freaked out. Apparently, she thought my sister took the pills just for good measure, and that she wait. Apparently, she thought my sister took the pills just for good measure, and that she wanted to actually be pregnant. My mom told my dad, and when I called my dad the next day, he told me how upset he was and that he is seeking professional therapy. My parents haven't told my sister that they know she was pregnant, and if they bring it up, they said they're going to say that they saw it in her medical file because the hospital she went to used to be our old hospital, and the medical files can be seen at their hospital. I know I messed up when my mom asked me to tell her the truth about the abortion pills, and I should have kept it locked up, but I suck at lying. My dad told me he can't trust me anymore because he knows um, if my parents never found out about the abortion, I would have taken the secret to the grave, and he's right. Both my mom and dad have told me that I should have told them she was pregnant right away so they could have figured it out together, but instead I bailed my sister out and didn't let her deal with any consequences and took this parenting moment away from them. I don't feel bad about helping my sister, but I feel bad that I didn't think about how this would affect my parents. Am I the asshole?
Um, I think it was a little bit of an asshole move to tell the parents. Like that's what I think was the problem here. I don't think the problem was that the big sister helped the younger sister. Like the I really hate that framing of took the parents, something away from the parents to be able to like parent the child in that situation. Um, I also like hate that framing of like, I bailed out my sister and like she didn't have any consequences. Like the consequence was she was pregnant when she didn't want to be and like had to go through the process of, you know, securing an abortion. Like that sounds like really stressful to deal with as a 17-year-old. Like it sounds like there were a lot of consequences and like a really hard situation that she had to navigate. And it's awesome that the big sister was able to offer that support. So like I don't think that should be framed as like the little sister being like, oh, she didn't have to deal with anything. Like that's not true. And also like even though as a, you know, young person like who's not 18 yet, like, you know, whatever, parents maybe have a bigger role than maybe they would otherwise if like it was an adult person. But even then, like the parents don't own their daughter. Like they don't own, you know, her decision making. Um, and like it sounds like they probably wouldn't have been supportive of the abortion. It doesn't sound like they actually would have been very helpful. So like I actually think it would have been worse if the sister would have, you know, told the parents first. So I just think like it sucks that like the sister accidentally like, you know, really let slip like really harmful information of the little sister. And I'm like, damn, like what's going to happen when the little sister finds out? Like that's going to maybe rupture their relationship too.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I agree with everything Anna said. I mean, like, first and foremost, like, it's whatever decision the pregnant person made. Like, clearly, um, they were probably right to withhold this information from their parents if they were
Yeah.
going to be so judgmental about it. Including, I'm not exactly sure why it was necessary for the dad to mention that he was seeking professional help for a
Yeah.
decision that was not anything about him. I mean, sure, you have every right to talk to your therapist about things that make you uncomfortable and process that and, you know, grow and move on. But it just seemed a little manipulative to bring that, you know, into that conversation. And it just seems like definitely not the asshole, because I can definitely see why they kept this information from their parents. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of how old this person is, like they have every right to do what they would like to do, and they are autonomous human beings, and they've made the decision to withhold this information and have an abortion, and that decision should be supported.
Yeah. And I think if anything, like the parents should be mad. Like they should be like, oh crap, like
Yeah.
I don't have a relationship where my daughter feels like she can come to me in a crisis like this.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like that is what needs to that is what the parents need to worry about instead of them feeling
Yeah.
like they missed out on a chance to like punish their daughter.
Right. Like that doesn't sound like whatever they were gonna do, like doesn't sound like it would have been good or healthy.
Yeah, I don't think so. And I'm glad she was able to bail her sister out. And I don't think she, yeah, you are not the asshole, Ben Binners 03. I'm glad she was able to get her little sister some help.
Yeah.
Shout
And
out
it
to
sounds like
sisters.
she's young too. I mean, she's only 20, so it sounds like
Mhm.
maybe she's also trying to navigate like it sounds like she was like clear in her decision and then through the conversations with the parents, it sounds like the parents were kind of like manipulating her a little bit to feel bad, but I'm like, you did nothing wrong. You did the right thing.
Yeah. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the parents were like just like bluffing to try to see if they could get her to say something.
Mm,
Hmm.
true.
Because it says right here, because I had like I got confused, but but there's a sentence where apparently the mom had thought that the sister took the pills for good measure, but that she wasn't actually pregnant.
Mm.
So
I
I'm
wonder
like,
how
that's
they found out
Yeah,
about.
maybe the
yeah,
packaging of like the
maybe,
pills.
or the cousin
Maybe.
maybe,
Yeah.
because the cousin took the sister to the emergency room.
Yeah,
The
that's
cousin
interesting.
probably snitched.
I know
Mm.
some's not adding up.
Something is not adding up. I agree. But I think that the story, everyone, is um, help your siblings if they need abortions. And if your parents are weird and they don't want to be supportive, it's okay to not tell them,
Mhm.
especially if you feel like you're going to be in danger.
Mhm.
Right.
I'm like, I'm going to say it. Don't listen to your parents. No, I'm just kidding.
Sponsored by T.
Sorry.
Cosign, cosign.
Cosign. Oh, all right, y'all. I think we are at the end. Thank y'all so much for joining and for sharing your opinions. Do y'all have anything y'all want to say before we wrap up?
I had so much fun. I was nervous about doing an Abobo chat, but I had a great time. Thank you for making
Yeah,
it so fun, Nancy and
thanks.
Denise.
I had a great
Yeah.
time too with y'all.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. This was a blast. This was the first time I've ever participated in like a Reddit question and answer sort of thing. That was really exciting, and I feel like this was very necessary space. Reddit is such a vast site where a lot of people are confused about abortion and resources, and there's so much potential for so much. I'm sure people are already using it for that. I'm just very new to the space, so yeah, this was a lot of fun. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks everybody. And we will be reposting, or we'll be you can watch the replay later if you didn't catch the earlier parts. We'll be sharing it here, and then we'll have some Abobo chat updates coming soon. We have some updates. We're gonna do some new things next year, so stay tuned for that. But thank you everybody for joining us. I'm Denise with T-Fun. Talk to you next month. Have a happy holiday.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a good night, y'all.